Hi, my name is Ron Burdock. I'm the Director of Global Outreach at North Park Community Church in London, Ontario, Canada. We've been learning about a process we've started to call D2, which just stands for Discernment and Development, where we walk with our missionaries during periods of transition, a way of actually preparing them and sending them. We're starting to use it for a number of ways of strengthening our missionaries, and just glad to be with you here today.
Mm-hmm. My name is Andrew Karram, and I have been on staff with InterVarsity Christian Fellowship of Canada since 2003, and I'm also in the midst of a transition to take over the pastoral role at Mosaic Intercultural Church, which is a ministry of North Park. And I've been connected with the global partnership work at North Park for the last 2 years, working on the global partnership team with Ron, and working as a coach with the D2s.
Over time in my role, I began to see that a number of our missionaries were somewhat disconnected from us as a church. We felt like they were very far away, and the relationship needed to be deepened. The phrase that we've used is move from sort of pay to partner. And so we've been searching out ways in which we can walk closer with those missionaries. Sometimes it's an issue of accountability. Sometimes it's an issue of understanding, where we really know what it is they're doing. Sometimes it's an issue of need, where they actually really do need us, and we feel like we're not able to meet that need. So that distance caused us to create ways of drawing closer to them on their behalf and on our behalf. So we had a missionary that we sensed we needed to get around and put in one of these things we were starting to call a D2. And so Andrew, in his experience as a supported missionary and our trust for him, caused us to say, Andrew, could you lead a small group of people to walk with this young woman for a few months to help her discern some transitions in her life?
So in that initial D2 group, we gathered together 3 Christian professionals and myself. And between us, we had experience in human resources, occupational therapy, global nonprofit work, and board governance, a real wide range of professional experience, as well as a lot of spiritual maturity and theological reflection. It was a great team to work with. And we were able to come alongside this missionary who was working in another country and get a sense of her narrative. What was her experience of calling? What was her training, her skills, her passions? We went through a referencing process and checked in on what has been the consistent fruit of her life, what are the areas that her friends and people who have worked with her in the past would like to see her to grow in. And we found that it was the D2 provided a beautiful way for Christians here in North America who aren't paid professional ministers to bring together their professional experience and their life of discipleship and theological reflection in the service of our global brothers and sisters who are serving the Lord all over the world. And it was a great experience of growth for us and for the missionary that we served.
Andrew, I know during that D2, kind of interacting with someone far away and working with them can be a real challenge. And there were real moments of hesitancy on the part of our people saying, can I actually contribute? Like, what do I have to offer somebody who's in sort of that romantic, I'm going to use that word romantic, but don't mean that in a real negative sense, but we have seen this sort of sense of the romance of the missionary. And it's taken us time in that one and in our other D2s to help people who generally have great careers and thought and leadership skills believe that they can engage and make a difference in someone. Bring sort of their professional or their faith intuitions to a circle. The circle being the protective piece, right?
Yeah.
The fact that you're not doing this on your own, but there's a circle of you working together slowly over time with observable behavior, observable learning, observable ideas to develop a moment of discernment to offer them help.
Yeah, that's right. We had this profound sense in our D2 of the weight of the responsibility that we carried. And one of the realities is that this is a person's life, and this is a person who has been serving sacrificially, and we really honor their life with God and the way in which they have laid down their life for others. And at the same time, we ran into this reality that many Christians in the church in North America have 2 separate categories that they operate with pretty consistently. There are those who are called, and then there's everybody else that's a Christian. And the D2 was a place where we were able to come together and say, well, actually, all Christians are called, and we are called to be together in mission. And so a professional who is working and being paid by a corporation here in Canada is as called as a missionary who is working with an agency overseas. And we get to bring the gifts that God has given us from our whole lives to the service of His mission and His people globally through this experience at the D2. And what we found was that the team dynamic allowed us to carry the weight of those things in a way that would actually completely overburden any one person.
Discernment and development, two interesting words, because we feel as a church we have a role in discerning the work of our sent missionaries. There's this, rather than someone just coming to us at the last minute and saying, hey, I'm going to X country, please send me, we feel like we have this sacred responsibility and role to be very much a part of the selection, the preparation, and the partnership with that person. So that sacred responsibility gets lived out in us learning their story and walking with them. And one of the things we really began to realize is that we had to engage in development, helping that person think about where are they on their sacred vocational journey, what's their training. And we realized we had to really step up to say, hey, have they had the learning in certain areas that maybe we might have expected or assumed in our Western context? So we had to really ponder these things as to their training, their preparation. How could we actually use a D2 as a tool to develop them?
That's right.
Not just sort of make transitionary decisions, but to actually enter into the strategic development of this sent person.
Yeah. And one of the ways that we engage that question about what is good development, what is needed development at this stage of a missionary's life, was obviously through the lens of love. To look at them and say, well, who has God created them to be, and how can they flourish and grow in their strength and skill? And then also love for the missionary and for the global church, to say we want to equip our missionaries so that they can bring the best value to our global brothers and sisters. And that lens of love and stewardship allowed us to then make some really good assessments about training opportunities for our missionaries, and then to lead them into different learning opportunities and training experiences. So over the course of the D2s, we've found a few resources that have been particularly helpful. One has been to strengthen our missionaries' emotional health. We've connected them with organizations like Missionary Health Institute and funded some meetings with professional Christian counselors in that context. We've also found that it's been very inspiring to people to connect with experts who are experts in the field that the missionary is working in, who help them develop vocational strength. And we've also sent people to do site visits and actually go and see what life is like for that missionary on the ground. And that's been a fantastic tool, both in terms of developing relationships and also to give us, as people who are here in London and not in their context, give us a better awareness of what they're facing day to day.
Yeah, face-to-face has been a word we've used, right? We don't want to do this. How do we deepen our face-to-face contact with our missionaries? But as well, I know as well, in some instances, we're feeling somewhat limited, and so we've actually helped hire a local, skilled, thoughtful coach or someone who can help them with their organization. We funded that as well, because we don't want to make these discernments and decisions from here. There are instances where we're simply looking for a local resource and connecting our people to that local resource.
That's right. Yeah. The body of Christ is big and bigger than the D2, and so we've really enjoyed developing relationships with people like professional coaches, organizations like MHI, because those are resources that bless us and bless our missionaries and then bless the global church as we access them.
Yeah, we kind of operate from a principle that we are a body, and so we are going to work together. That's a theological principle.
That's right.
So as a church, we are automatically theologically engaged with our agencies.
That's right.
We do not delegate this away. We do this together.
That's right.
Because some people might ask, well, doesn't the agency do this? Why are you interfering with the agency work? We've actually found that they've welcomed us because we've brought very thoughtful, gentle, engaged, collaborative effort where there are gaps. We have seen gaps. I have to say we've seen gaps in accountability, gaps in care, and maybe limited capacities. So we've brought the capacity of the church, and I guess our conviction is that we work together, we have capacity that needs to come to the table, so let's thoughtfully bring that to the table.
We're firmly convinced that a church of any size can grow and develop a really healthy D2 process for their missionaries. The body of Christ is richly resourced in every location.
Yeah.
There are professionals, thoughtful people, godly people in every local church who can step up to the plate together and say, let's pursue a path of blessing for our missionaries and their agencies in the global church. I'd say the only limitation that tends to be at play is our own sense of what's possible and our own sense of hesitation and fear of maybe of offending people, maybe of getting into areas where we don't know. But a learning posture and a generous vision and a gentle, humble spirit carries us a long way, because ultimately this is the work of God, strengthening His people globally.
Yeah, and I think there has been a tendency to delegate this to others, and we can't do that. We can't delegate mission. We do mission.
That's right.
We're a church. We do mission.
That's right.
We learn how to help people. We learn how to grow and develop people, whether they're here or far away. So it is a learning curve, definitely a learning
Absolutely.
curve. But as the hesitancies drop, and as the skills develop, we're building this gentle, growing force of people who are able to help others globally, help our missionaries globally, do an excellent job in partnership with the agency.
That's right.